What if the treasure you've spent your entire life searching for was never really about money? What if the biggest obstacle between you and your dream wasn't failure, but the fear of chasing it? This is the question at the heart of The Alchemist, the unforgettable novel by Paulo Coelho. Meet Santiago, a young shepherd from Spain who loves his simple life, traveling from place to place with his sheep. But Santiago has a recurring dream about a treasure hidden near the Egyptian pyramids. At first, the dream seems impossible. Why leave behind a comfortable life for something that might not even exist? But then Santiago makes a dangerous choice. He decides to follow the dream. And that decision changes everything. Santiago leaves his familiar world behind and begins a journey filled with uncertainty, loss, unexpected encounters, and difficult choices. But that's where the story becomes powerful. Santiago's journey isn't really about finding a treasure chest. It's about what happens to a person when they finally decide to take their own dreams seriously. Along the way, Santiago learns one of the book's biggest ideas. Dreams are easy to imagine, but incredibly difficult to pursue. We often say, one day. One day I'll start the business. One day I'll write the book. One day I'll travel. One day I'll change my life. But fear quietly turns one day into never. Santiago discovers that pursuing a dream doesn't mean the journey will be easy. It means accepting uncertainty and continuing anyway. And then comes another important lesson. Listen to your heart. The book encourages Santiago to pay attention to what he truly wants, instead of allowing fear, other people, or circumstances to decide his future. It doesn't mean blindly following every emotion. Rather, it suggests that sometimes we already know what matters to us. We're simply afraid to admit it. But then Santiago learns something even deeper. The journey itself changes him. Every setback teaches him something. Every stranger adds another piece to his understanding. Every failure forces him to become stronger. The obstacles that seem to move him away from his goal are actually preparing him for it. And that's why The Alchemist connects so strongly with readers. Because almost everyone has a dream they secretly want to pursue. And almost everyone has a reason not to. The book asks a painful question. What if you spend your whole life protecting yourself from failure, only to realize you never really lived? One of the book's memorable ideas, paraphrased rather than quoted directly, is that when someone genuinely commits to pursuing their deepest purpose, unexpected opportunities can begin to appear. Whether you interpret that as destiny or simply as the result of taking action, the message is powerful. Action creates possibilities that hesitation never will. Yet the real lesson is not that dreams magically come true. It's that the pursuit of a meaningful dream transforms you. Eventually, Santiago discovers that treasure can mean much more than gold. The journey gives him knowledge, courage, experience, and a deeper understanding of himself. That's one of the book's greatest strengths. Paulo Coelho uses an incredibly simple story to explore complicated questions. What do we really want? Why are we afraid? How much should we sacrifice for a dream? And what makes a life meaningful? The language is accessible, the symbolism is memorable, and the story is easy to follow. But the simplicity can also be its weakness. Some readers may find the philosophy repetitive or overly idealistic. If you prefer complex characters, realistic storytelling, or subtle philosophy, The Alchemist may feel too simple. But perhaps that simplicity is exactly why millions of readers remember it. You don't need to be a shepherd crossing the desert to understand Santiago. You only need to have a dream you're afraid to chase. So, who should read The Alchemist? Anyone standing at a crossroads. Anyone who has forgotten what they once wanted. Anyone afraid of starting. And anyone who needs a reminder that the safest path isn't always the most meaningful one. Because the greatest treasure Santiago finds isn't simply what waits at the end of his journey. It's the person he becomes while searching for it. And maybe that is the real message of The Alchemist. Your dream may lead you somewhere unexpected, but you'll never discover where it leads if you're too afraid to take the first step. So ask yourself, what dream have you been postponing? Because sometimes the treasure isn't waiting at the end of the journey. Sometimes the journey is what turns you into the person who was ready to find it.